call the meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Campbell.
Here.
Fournier.
Here.
Goodnow.
Here.
Hammond.
Here.
Crop.
Here.
Menser. Here. Voorhees.
Here.
Excellent. We'll move on to agenda item 4, announcements, acknowledgements, communications, and reports. First, we have a proclamation for our Rail Safety Week. Go ahead and whereas 1,889 rail grade crossings collisions resulted in 678 personal injuries and were responsible for 201 fatalities in the United States during 2020, and whereas 1,088 trespassing incidents have occurred in the United States, resulting in 532 pedestrians being killed and another 556 injured while trespassing on railroad property rights of way during 2020, and whereas educating and informing the public about rail safety, reminding the public that railroad right-of-ways are private property, enhancing public awareness of the dangers associated with highway rail grade crossings, ensuring pedestrians and motorists are looking and listening while near railways and obeying established traffic laws will reduce the number of fatalities and injuries, and whereas the International Association of Chiefs of Police, National Operation Lifesavers, United States Department of Transportation, and all local, state, county, and railroad law enforcement officers, first responders, and railroad corporations commit to partnering together in an effort to educate at a national level all aspects of railroad safety, to enforce applicable laws in support of National Rail Safety Week. Now therefore, I, Laura Kropp, Mayor of the City of Mount Clemens, on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby declare its full support proclaiming September 20th to 26th, 2021, National Rail Safety Week, and encourages all citizens to recognize the importance of rail safety education. All right. Very nice.
Is this proclamation being presented to anyone? Anyone from a railroad or anything?
Nobody here.
Not in person, we'll just be sending it to them.
We'll move on to agenda item 4B, department reports. Does anyone have any questions, comments for any of the reports listed? Commissioner Menser?
I would like to make note of the DPS and the downtown maintenance. In May, they did 40 hours. In June, they did 28. But in July, they did 142. That's a massive increase. Same thing with forestry. In May, they did 215. In June, 318. But in July, 603. And parking citations, same. May, 88. June, 56. July, 299. Obviously, our DPS is on the ball. Thank you, Jeff Wood. I also would like to make a motion. Oh, I'm sorry, let me do this first. I asked for previously 3 different reports. These weren't included today. I asked for the Housing Commission report. I asked for the vacant commercial buildings report, and I asked for a report from the DDA. Those were not included. And in looking at these statistics, I would like to make a motion that we revert to quarterly statistics other than the Community Development Blight Report. So I've made, that's a motion.
Is there a support?
Support.
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions or comments about that? Or Commissioner Menser, do you want to give any reasoning why you want to do that?
I think that this kind of gets almost a little bit redundant. We miss some things because I don't think everybody looks at them, because we see them every month. I think that it is overkill to look at these monthly. I think that we did them quarterly for quite a long time. I think we could revert to quarterly again.
Why did we originally switch over?
These were always, they used to be quarterly, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking why they
Yeah,
switched
I-
over.
Okay,
Do we know why we went monthly instead of quarterly?
I think it was requested, but I just don't remember why.
Already being done monthly when I started.
No.
No, I agree. But I would like to see the community development report, as you mentioned, monthly, because there's just a lot goes on there.
Okay, just there.
Another comment on those.
Well, we have to do,
sorry,
on
we have
this,
to
or do you
vote.
want to vote? Okay.
We have to vote, sorry.
Okay, roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes,
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Okay, now go ahead.
okay, on the community development report, I am hoping that by the next month, we have some cleanup, though, done on it. I'm more than willing to help you do that, if that's what it takes, but it needs to be brought current. And,
We're talking about the blight.
yes, the blight, there's things on there that are so old. I even drove by a few of them, and I'm like, I don't get it anymore. The report has to get cleaned up. And the other thing is, we have a meeting scheduled to discuss the strategic plan, I think the first commission meeting in September. And obviously, the goals and objective status will be brought up then. But I'm a little concerned that that's not going to be enough, because one of the things that is part of the goals and objective status that has not been discussed, and we haven't seen anything in it, the status hasn't changed for months, is the capital improvement plan. We have not seen the list, we have not seen anything, and I think that alone could take that hour on September 9th, I think it is. So I'm hoping that either we schedule some more work sessions to make sure we go through all these, or maybe it's another day again, I don't know. But there's quite a few things there that I think we need to discuss, and I think it's going to take longer than 1 hour.
I concur with you. We need an updated report or a list of capital needs. And I think that the list should include what the need is, what the estimated cost is, and whether we're looking for, budget dollars, or we're looking for grant money, or how we intend to pay for that.
I think we've asked for, I think we've also asked for a prioritized
Yes.
list. I think that was the priority of the commission, was that we not only get a list of needs, but in what order and what is the most urgent, and a plan of attack. Okay, Mr. Johnson, is that, all right, clear on that? Okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move on from the department reports to agenda item 5, adoption of the agenda.
Mayor Crop, I move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call, anybody have any questions? Okay, roll call, please.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
This is the portion of the meeting where we allow the public to address the commission. All that we ask is that you give us your full name, you abide by our 3-minute rule, and you mention your address. We will first start with those who are live in person, and then we will move on to our Zoom friends that are virtual for us. Do we have people on the meeting, Patrick? 4. Okay. All right. So at this time, we invite the public to participate.
Ruthie Stevenson, 69 Bain Street. I was going over the agenda, and I'm looking under 9C. If I remember when we were going through this marijuana deal, and this is for the outdoor growing, we had discussed that it would be 2 places in Mount Clemens, and that was Gibraltar and over on Grossbeck, and that it would not be any outdoor growing. Why is this back on the agenda now? if it was voted down prior to. And I can just about guess where it would be. Anywhere northeast Mount Clemens, in areas that impact the minority community. When you talk about outside grow, have you guys ever been around any of these places? You can smell it to high heaven. Perfect example, when where Snyder's Cleaners was some years ago, they were illegally growing in there. And the neighborhood kept complaining about the smell, the smell, the smell. It impacts the community. So therefore, if you do an outside grow on the northeast side of Mount Clemens, it's going to impact that community, whether it's seniors, housing, or wherever. And I'd just like to know, why is this back on the agenda when it was voted down in the first place?
Would anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Patricia DiVirgilio. I live at 22 Michigan Street. First of all, I want to tell you that I've watched you guys for the last year on Zoom, and you've been doing a phenomenal job. I can see how committed so many are to the city of Mount Clemens. They're so loyal, and I really appreciate your good intentions in moving the city forward and rebuilding the city. In that regard, I'd like to share a portion of an email I received back from Sheriff Wickersham. I'm talking in regards to some of the marijuana ordinances that you, sections that you have been considering and passing. Sheriff Wickersham said, unfortunately, voters approved the law. And then he went on to say that he spoke out against one of the 5 licenses that could be held in a community, and that that would be the dispensing or storefront license. I think it's important for us to examine experts in the area and to consider other voices than our own reasoning when we're trying to develop a program for the city, which I understand everyone is interested in the well-being of the city. Last year, the residents, the voters of Clinton Township, squashed an initiative for marijuana sales in their city because they did not want vendors within 5 miles of their homes and schools. Mount Clemens is 4 square miles. So when we're talking about any aspect of marijuana business, open events, growers, there's not one pinpoint on our map that is not going to be affected by these different sectors that you have been considering. Okay. One lady asked me if I would share this with you. She wanted to ask how the city will protect its citizens from the intoxicated individuals, as we know it will spill over into the neighborhoods, possibly resulting in property damage and or injury to those of us who live in the city. We have no police force. Who will keep the inebriated confined? I am incredulous that no one, additionally, has spoken up on behalf of our student population and the effect that open venues, events would have on our young people. I'd like to just share a little, remind you of an Aesop's fable of a porcupine and a family of snakes. And these snakes kindly invited a porcupine to take shelter in their nest. But they found that after a while, the porcupine's quills were poking them, and it was wounding their children, and it was very uncomfortable. So they asked the porcupine to leave, and the porcupine replied that he's very happy there. So I'd like to end by asking you, at what age would you find it appropriate for your child, your grandchild, or a student to start smoking marijuana? 8, 10, or 13 years? Thank you.
Mayor Crop, City Commissioners, George Kale, 180 Grand Ave. Also in regard to item number 9C under general business, the question I have for the administration is, how did Pleasantries become affiliated or the marijuana business operator associated with the Gibraltar trade site when they were not part of the original application as the pre-qualified or state licensee? It seems as if they came late to the party, and apparently we're doing a lot of backflips for them right now because, of course, Mr. Gibraltar's trying to figure out how to make this work at the Gibraltar site with the DTE and the electricity issue in regard to the load that can't be delivered because the grid is already taxed out and whatever the case may be. But the question is, how is it that Pleasantries now is involved in this when they were not part of that original application that was due on or before April 1st of 2019? Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Carl Hay, 21 Second Street. Hope everybody's having a good night. Just want to say on Thursday, we had our first kickball game out at Shady Side. We had about 20 participants and about 10 people watching. Thank you for Commissioner Hammond for attending. We appreciate it. On Saturday, I went to the Jurassic Center, which I thought was awesome. Just want to say maybe we do a better job of advertising it because I really didn't know until someone called me, and as soon as I knew, I took my kids and we had a great time. Super awesome. Sunday, we celebrated barbecue and book bags over at Greater Morning Store. Once again, Commissioner Hammond, thank you for coming. I'd also like to thank our County Commissioner Wallace for her donations and being a part, your donations and being a part. It was awesome. If you don't know, we're going through our 100-year celebration. So anytime you guys can come out, that'd be awesome. We will be having another football, kickball game, not this Thursday, but the following Thursday at Shady Side. Please let people know. Please come out. The kids had a great time. I believe we'll be posting a picture shortly. Thank you to the River Acres Community Group because they came out and supported. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thomas Barnes, 291 Jones Street. I promised myself and all of you that I was going to go high in all of these meetings, but all of this marijuana talk again keeps surfacing and keeps coming up. So I felt that I would take this moment to speak on it, right? And I get my 3 minutes just like everybody else does. The negative connotation that surrounds marijuana is absolutely ludicrous. If any one of these people who have spoke up before me had done any real research on what marijuana through the state of Michigan is doing in other communities, I don't see it. I personally have been to over 80 dispensaries throughout the entire state. All of this negative, people are going to be intoxicated, being in your backyard, and it's going to disparage our children. Kids that are going to smoke weed are already smoking weed without dispensaries. Dispensaries are helping to regulate the marijuana that makes it onto our streets. It is helping to keep it out of the hands of our children. So the regulation and what we are bringing into our city is not this whole, like, you're gonna have drunken people out in the streets tearing up cars. It's actually bringing families back together. Because when we, the people in the state of Michigan, legalized recreational marijuana, what we did was we allowed fathers to go home to their families. Over and over and over again, I see people who grew up in the same community that I grew up in who are put in jail and prison. Me, myself, falling victim to that. Going to jail for my first felony charge for a marijuana charge. So now that we have passed the Clean Slate Act, I am able to actually get my marijuana felony expunged off of my record. Something that happened to me when I was only a kid, I was only 23 years old, and I've walked through my entire life with a felony record over the same amount of weed that we now find to be legal in this city and in this state. So later for the nonsense. I don't hear everybody up here screaming and yelling about the bars. They put drunk people out onto the streets of Mount Clemens every weekend. I don't hear about active enforcement of how we got to keep our drunk people inside the bars. We actually just opened up the city as an oasis so people could walk around and drink. Because the businesses in downtown mostly are bars. So now bringing marijuana into our city, that's not going to hurt us. As a matter of fact, why don't we just take a moment to do a little research on our city's history? Everybody's so proud to talk about these bathhouses, aren't they, Mickey? Everybody wants to talk about the bathhouses and leave out the brothels. Guess what? We were a city born on holistic healing and holistic medicine. So why all of a sudden are so many of our neighbors and our residents fighting against our roots? Thank you.
Are there anyone, okay.
Just a quick disclaimer, he was speaking as Tommy Barnes, not as a representative of TCB or as Sportport. Just want to say that, because I got emails the last meeting, so I'm just putting that out there. That was Tommy Barnes speaking. So don't nobody send me no.
Thank you for the commercial. Disclaimer. That's a good disclaimer. Is there anyone else?
Randy Buckman, 13815 Southgate Drive, Sterling Heights. And I'd also like to talk about 9C. I'd like to thank, first of all, Commissioners Hammond and Goodenough for recommending it back to an agenda item. And the difference between, we've talked about this, and having it as an agenda item is to have an open conversation where there can be a presentation and questions can be asked versus assumptions made of what it is and it's this and it's that. There's questions that need to be answered and they've not had the proper format to answer them. That's why I think it's so important to have a dialogue. Thank you.
Is there anyone else live in person who would like to speak? Do we have anyone on Zoom? Okay. All right. We will go ahead and move on to administrative responses to issues or questions raised during previous meetings. Mr. Johnson?
At the last meeting, a resident complained about a strand of scrub trees and bushes on a vacant lot along northbound Gratiot between Kibbe and Clinton River Drive. While this is not an ordinance violation, the city has contacted the owner of the property and is in the process of getting an estimate for removal of the landscaping. Also, a resident of 21 2nd Street mentioned a violation notice that was issued for their property. This notice was for yard waste bags stored in the driveway, and the property is now in compliance. And that's all I have.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. Johnson?
I do. Thank you for the photos. So you're saying that if there was a home there, the shrubs or overgrown weeds will be fine? There's nothing in our ordinance about that?
For what is actually there, the building department does not believe that it's in violation of an ordinance.
When do scrub trees become part of the landscape and not garbage?
Not just weeds, to be exact.
Those are trees, many.
Well, they are trees.
Now they are.
Yeah, now
Because
they are.
somebody allowed them to be so overgrown that now they have the stump of a tree.
Trees, yeah. Yeah, now they're big trees.
As we have discussed in the past, this is the main entrance to the city of Mount Clemens. This is what people who are coming in from the south end into our city, that's the first thing they see. And believe me, I drove by it today, and it looks like a jungle. It needs to be taken care of. These people live in some other area code. They live in Detroit or they live in Birmingham. They don't live here. I live here. That needs to be cleaned up.
Yep. Absolutely. We are in the process of cleaning it up. Building does not believe we can do it through enforcement, so we're just taking it on our own self to do it.
But it doesn't really make sense that it's not enforcement, because if that was the front bushes of a house, you'd be in violation.
They would cover the house.
It would,
Right.
yeah,
And you'll
there's-
receive a citation.
I'll go back to that 150-page report we get, and there is no way that didn't start out as weeds. And we had that issue, that one is very prominent, and gotten very out of hand, but we have that along umpteen fences, along the railroad tracks, around so many parkings, the post office. I mean, if you don't stop the weeds, this is what happens.
Right.
And if, I mean, yes, we're going to take care of it, but I believe that the owner of the property should be held responsible.
Right, I agree.
Yes, Mr.
Is there a time frame on this?
I know that they started on that right after the meeting. I don't know what the time frame is right now.
Mr. Tingley, do we have a time frame on that?
I don't know.
Can we get that for our next meeting?
Mr. Johnson, you said,
Hopefully it'll be done by then.
Mr. Johnson, you said that, who's taking care of it? I didn't hear. Who's taking care of it?
Mr. Tingley's department is
Taking-
seeking quotations to get it done.
Not the owner of the
Thank you.
property.
They did reach out.
Will they be charged?
Mm.
We'll bill it back to the property.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm not happy with that.
So are they going to remove all of it, Mr. Johnson? Or Mr. Tinsley?
Mr. Tingley.
Are they going to remove all of it?
Yeah, we're currently getting an estimate right now from the city's contractor that mows, the lawns.
Just the lawns, not the debris is what we're talking
Well,
about? I'm unclear.
What will it entail?
What we're asking them to mow or to remove is not typically what our landscaping contractor removes. They typically are mowing, grass,
Right.
and weeds.
So,
We've asked
So-
them for an estimate.
so I just want to be clear on what they're removing. They're cutting the grass and removing all of the debris, or what are they specifically?
We're asking for an estimate on the items of concern.
All of it?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, the lot, the grass there now has been maintained.
Yes,
Right, but we're talking about the scrub trees.
yes,
Right.
exactly. I just wanted to make sure I was clear on that, that's all.
Yeah, that's what we've asked in an estimate for.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to be clear. Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Mansur.
So Commissioner Verheyst brings up a good point. This is the entrance to the city. We also have another entrance to the city on Cass Avenue. And yet we have the Macomb Daily Building sitting there for almost 30 years now, vacant and disgusting. And we enacted a vacant commercial building ordinance to help prevent some things like that. So I very much look forward to, when we receive our next statistics, that the report I asked for last time is included.
Well, I can tell you right now that property has received their initial violation notice as a vacant commercial property. And they received an invoice for $1,000. And that will
That's good to
escalate
know.
as the years go on pursuant to the ordinance.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any further questions? Okay, we'll move on to agenda item 8, approval of minutes.
I move to approve the work session and regular city commission meeting minutes for August 2nd, 2021.
Support.
Anybody have any questions, comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Agenda item 9A, approve sale of city-owned lot, 124 Jones Street. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to authorize the sale of the vacant city lot at 124 Jones Street to Lenita Andrews for the amount of $300, and to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign the necessary documents executing the sale.
Support.
Oh, excuse me.
Okay, Mr. Johnson?
Mr. Tingley, would you like to report on this?
Thank you. This is a pretty straightforward request. This is actually one of our really last few vacant city-owned lots that we have. But the neighbor at 126 Jones is requesting to purchase this lot in the amount of $300. We do find that reasonable. The last few lot sales we did were $400 to $500, and those were for buildable lots. So I think this is in line with that.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Tingley or Mr. Johnson? Okay, hearing none, we'll roll call, please.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Agenda item 9B, approve Cherry Street Mall Sound Garden. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the installation of 3 interactive musical instruments within the Cherry Street Mall.
Support.
Mr. Johnson.
I'm also going to invite Mr. Tingley to speak to this one.
Thank you again. So upon direction from the DDA board, we solicited a proposal from Snyder Recreation for the purchase and installation of these musical instruments within the mall. The DDA board reviewed an estimate on August 4th and authorized an expenditure not to exceed $20,000 for that project. And that would be for purchase and installation of 3 musical instruments. The total cost is just over $23,000. The Art Center was recently awarded a $5,000 Bridge Builder Main Street micro grant through the MML Foundation, a portion of which will be used to offset the cost of the project, as well as programming musical instruments, as well as programming musical play sessions. The instruments would be installed in the open areas where the tables were removed, and they would be able to be uninstalled in the event there's a larger renovation of the mall. That's it. Thank you.
Anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Tingley? Yes.
I think it's pretty creative and cool. I like the fact that it's going to go along with hopefully someday art space and all our painted murals. I want to make sure that the only cost to the city itself is the use of the DPS staff for the installation. Perfect. And I wondered what happened. It just made me think about a couple years ago we talked about putting like hopscotch and interactive things like that downtown. Do you remember that at all?
That was a grant from the Antenna Art Center. They put that in at the
Yeah, but I
YMCA.
thought we were putting permanent ones down there. You guys don't want to see me hopscotching through
I
town?
mean, there was part of that grant that the Advancing the Cone was awarded on behalf of the city for the staircase that was painted, the mural.
The Y has it.
And then there was a small hopscotch at the YMCA that was.
Oh, just that one? Okay. All right, thank you.
Just to clarify, the installation of this is done by the
cost-
company.
Right, so for the 23,194 and 53 cents, that does include installation. Well, obviously, any project we look at utilizes city staff if available to keep that cost even further down.
Yeah, well, that line is just in here. It says, "We will explore utilizing city staff for installation to further reduce costs." So that line doesn't need to be in there, I guess. Thank you.
So just to confirm, this is a DDA expenditure?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, it's on this agenda because it's a city parcel, and we felt that the city commission should give the DDA approval to place something on the property.
When all 3 are being played at one time?
They are,
People need to play the instruments.
I know.
if they,
Yeah.
yeah, no, they can be played at all times, but they are, they're like, they're in sync. They're all pentatonic scales, so that they won't sound awful.
Very
I
cool.
also went to see them at, well,
It depends on who's playing.
I went to see them at, they had them at around Campus Martius downtown. And they were, they aren't loud. I mean, they're loud enough, but they aren't obnoxious, in other words. They were, and like I said, they are pentatonic, so they don't sound off.
Very cool.
Well, I think if they got together with St. Peter's, who still rings their bells daily at noon, we could really have something going on here.
All right. Does anybody have any questions or comments further? Okay. Roll call, please.
Hammond.
Yes.
Crop.
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Fournier.
Yes.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Okay, agenda item, moving on, marijuana business ordinance outdoor grow facilities request. Sorry, I didn't read my correct, there we go. Request from Commissioners Hammond and Goodenough for a special meeting to discuss outdoor growing under the business marijuana ordinance. I'll entertain a motion.
I move to schedule a special meeting of the Mount Clemens City Commission for Monday, August 23rd at 6 o'clock in the City Commission chambers to hear additional arguments and presentations of information related to growing marijuana outdoors. Those persons desiring to make presentations longer than allowed during public participation must pre-schedule with the city manager no later than noon Thursday, August 19th, and must provide advance copies of all documentation and/or electronic presentation files, which will be posted to the city website with the agenda for that meeting.
I need a second.
Oh, a second, sorry. Sorry.
It's okay. Do you want to go ahead and?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner.
Thank you. I received a request from Commissioners Hammond and Goodenough to revisit the issue of outdoor growing in the proposed marijuana business ordinance, and specifically to allow an extended presentation on the subject in excess of the time allotted during public participation. After a discussion with me, they agreed to present this as a request to schedule a special meeting rather than request that it be done tonight, to hear and consider additional arguments and presentations of information related to outdoor growing. We're suggesting that if it happens, that it occur on the 23rd at 6 p.m. in Commission chambers. The procedure would be, as was presented in the resolution, we would still have the standard 3-minute public comment period at the beginning and 2-minute public comment period at the end, at which any person may speak. Additionally, those wishing to make extended presentations could schedule additional time by notifying the city manager no later than noon on the preceding Thursday, August 19th, and providing advance copies of any materials or electronic presentations. Now, the question has come up both during public comment and privately from commissioners as to why we're having this discussion again when it's been before the commission before. This commission has a rule which allows any 2 commissioners to put something on the agenda. It's not a discretionary decision for the city manager. If I get 2 commissioners who request something go on the agenda and they make their request in a timely manner, it must go on the agenda.
Okay. Discussion?
I'll start.
Okay.
And with all due respect to Mr. Bachman, to Commissioners Goodnow and Hammond, we did vote on this. And there was ample opportunity for anyone who wanted to say something to say. In fact, Mr. Kale, I believe, had a report at that one meeting that said there could be some additional information with respect to that. We chose to go forward and vote. We did not, we could have tabled it right then and there. We could have asked for additional information. We could have said we didn't have enough information. We didn't. We went forward and we voted, and it was voted down. I mean, if we start revisiting everything, obviously there's some objection to some of the other marijuana language in the ordinance. We could go on with this for the next year, because we can bring more people in here and say there's more information and we need to talk about it more. So I feel that we had an opportunity, we have to respect our vote, and we did that. Second, and I keep going back to this because we promised these people, if you were here when we did the original medical marijuana ordinance, there was a major group of people and from that area that were opposed to it 100%. And we have had a chance to get information. All of us had a chance to take the tour at Pleasantries. All of us had a chance to listen to Mr. Bachman, and I have sang his praises all over the place, that he runs an incredible operation. But those people living near there cannot be guaranteed that they're not going to get the smell. He told me that. And one of the things that just annoyed the ever-living daylights out of me was when the landholder of that property said, they live by a sewer plant anyway, so what's a little marijuana? And I think that probably, there was one other comment that he made too, that I'll refrain from making public here, but I will, if I have to. But those people do matter. And they live next to it. We can't guarantee that that smell won't travel, and they deserve our consideration, and we need to keep the promise that we made to contain it. We promised it would be contained when we did the Medical Marijuana Act. We all know, just like from the closing off the streets to Trump or Biden or Republican or Democrat to marijuana, yes or no, there are such divergent opinions. And we did the Medical Marijuana Act. We limited it to see how it was going to work. One person has moved forward with that license, another has not. And that person didn't do their homework. They didn't find out about the electricity early enough. But to sit here and write an ordinance and keep twisting it and tailoring it to that one location, because that's the only location that will benefit from this, is unfair to everyone else in the city. So I totally oppose this. I hope one day that you do have, perhaps a license in the city, but right now you don't. And that we cannot write an ordinance just for Gibraltar. And finally, I'm just going to say this again. If we're going to have a special meeting on a non-commission day, we have so many topics that we have pushed off, kicked the can down the road, and not addressed. Then I want some other Mondays scheduled for those. Thank you.
Commissioner Mintz.
I concur. We voted on outdoor grow. This is not about whether or not we want medical marijuana pot. This is not whether or not pot's going to be good for the city. This is not whether or not, pot versus alcohol is the thing. This is about outdoor grow. We talked about the smell. We talked about the light pollution. We talked about the inherent safety or quality, of the plants. We talked about the fact that this pot smells. And when you put it in an outside facility, there's no way to contain that, and you have senior towers and residents right there. I don't know why this is back on the agenda. I'm going to just say it, it smacks to me of favoritism and collusion. I am absolutely against revisiting this issue.
I would say it's not favoritism. It is open to the public. Anyone could come in and speak about it, and the reason for the meeting was to gather more information on outdoor grow. During the last meeting, they had 3-minute limit. This is to give them more time. Anyone that wants to come in and speak about outdoor grow, let's give them time outside 3 minutes for a presentation. Along with the promise that outdoor grow wasn't going to be here in the city, I wasn't here for that time, so I can't say I was included in that.
Right.
But what's presented to me in front of me now is outdoor grow, and given the public a chance to come in and speak about that or a presentation, I think they should have that opportunity.
I concur. I was not here. I'm the newest one on the board, and I think that, and I agree with Commissioner Fournier, if we have special meetings, I agree with you, we should have them. I also, though, agree that everybody deserves a fair chance. If they only had 3 minutes to speak, then I think that they should have time to present. More people from the public and on Zoom should have more information to at least sit down and have a better conversation about it. I was not here. I didn't vote on that, so I think it's only fair. I don't know what you guys did. No disrespecting the other commissioner or mayor or Mr. Johnson on the board, but I was not here, and I didn't vote on it.
But if you look at the ordinance, that is what we did vote on. And we did, if you go back to those meetings, you can see, I think most of them are on tape, you can see how adamant people were against it, especially from that quadrant. And that has stayed with me through this whole thing, because there are such divergent opinions on marijuana. We were going to go into this slowly. Let's just get our feet wet, folks. We can do the 3-minute rule, though we can apply it to everything. She didn't have time to finish all of her comments with respect to the marijuana activities, the She would like
I let her
perhaps to do
finish.
some more.
I let her finish.
Yes,
She did, but we don't know that she was finished. Thank you.
But we got it. Thank you.
And there's also, we could go on and on about getting other information about every aspect of that ordinance. This could just go on for ever, right? And maybe that's what we do. That's how we just can stonewall the whole thing for the next, and just revisit everything in the ordinance. I just don't see where there's anything special about this that it should have been brought up, and it was that important. We should have tabled the issue on that day and revisited it. We didn't, we voted.
But again, as commissioners, we do have a right to bring something
I'm
back up.
not
and to-
disputing that at all, not at all. This is just, I believe that this one is,
And I just want to be clear, especially with the accusation of a collusion, that everybody, it would not be limited to one person or one organization or one entity coming in and giving a presentation. Everybody, anyone would have an opportunity as long as they gave it by Thursday, August 19th. I just want, I want it to be shown that we are in this proposal, or what we're voting on, does not state that we're allowing one entity to give a presentation. So I just want that.
Do you intend to reach out to to the other companies who have expressed interest?
I
How
have
are they
not-
going to be notified of
This is not me, but
But
I
how
have
are they
not-
going to be notified of this?
The same
How
way that
are
everyone publicly is notified.
Yeah. How are you going to
You
notify?
have to post a special meeting in
Yeah.
all of the ways that we always post special meetings, which is we publicize it in the journal, we post it, we put it online. I mean, all of the ways that we do a special meeting. I mean, the city follows the rules and the laws of the Open Meetings Act.
I think we all agree there. We
Well, that's
believe
not
it.
what was just
Okay,
accused
but
of. So
think
I
that-
wanted to clarify that, and I think I have every right to clarify that. I think, actually, as the leader of this board, I have the responsibility of clarifying that when somebody is saying that this board is colluding.
Okay.
That is a
So-
very serious accusation, especially in government.
But in this particular case, and I think this is what somewhat she was referring to, is the fact that this is for benefits one site. And that's awfully clear about this whole thing. And the person that is so interested in having this does not have a permit or a license or anything yet to even do this. It becomes more far-fetched as you go through all the particulars. But the bottom line is, we did everything right the first time. We had the notifications out there. We had all of
No one's
the-
arguing that.
Yeah, I'm not,
But we also said that we only gave them 3 minutes. We didn't allow anyone to make a presentation.
That's why we're requesting the
And it's a
special,
very complicated issue.
to hear the pros and cons from both sides.
I think it's not as complicated as we're making it. An outdoor grow is going to have an odor. It's a given. We all went through the,
So is an indoor grow.
Right.
yes, it's indoor.
And
We
there's
all
an
went
abatement
through-
system.
We had the opportunity to go on the tour and smell it. We could smell it as we walked up to the building. Again, I applaud the operation over there. I was very impressed. But at Outdoor Grow, they were very clear that they can't guarantee it. And they were very sarcastic about it, not Randy, the other person. But I think that we did have an opportunity. We should have tabled it then and had a special session. And we didn't, and we voted. But I guess we're going to vote again.
About a meeting, not about outdoor grow.
Right.
Right.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? Okay, roll call, please.
Crop.
Yes.
Menzer.
No.
Voorhees.
No.
Campbell.
No.
Fournier.
No.
Goodnow.
Yes.
Hammond.
Yes.
Motion failed.
Okay, motion fails. All right, we'll move on to 9D, purchase and payments of invoices.
Motion to approve purchases and payment of invoices as presented.
Support.
Anybody have any questions or comments?
Are you there? I do.
Okay, go ahead.
What, you know what, I'll ask it after, because I can't get there fast enough.
It's okay, we can
There
wait.
you go.
Very first one,
Blaze
So-
Contracting?
they're going to replace existing concrete with riprap? What is riprap?
Mr. Wood, I'm assuming. Right? Okay.
This would actually be some outfall at Gardner Park when we did some of that work over there. That takes the stormwater out to the Clinton River. All around that outfall is broken concrete with a bunch of different stuff in it. They're going to take all that out of there and replace it with what they call riprap, which is really large rock.
Okay. Thank you.
Learn something new every day.
That's right.
Anyone else? Okay, roll call, please.
Menser,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop.
Yes. Agenda item 10.
Move to approve consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Campbell,
Yes.
Fournier,
Yes.
Goodnow,
Yes.
Hammond,
Yes.
Crop,
Yes.
Menser.
Yes.
Okay, agenda item 11, city manager's report.
Okay, the November 2nd election will have 4 candidates for 3 city commission seats. Incumbents Laura Fournier, Denise Mincer, and Wanda Goodenough are going to be joined by former commissioner and former mayor Barb Dinsey as city commission candidates. Mayor Laura Kropp will be unopposed. The last meeting, we held a TEFRA hearing which ended in a motion to table, awaiting further information, and we haven't received any further information yet at this point. So that's still tabled. Branding committee met on August 6th and agreed on the final element of the brand, which is the logo. We're preparing to present the committee's recommendations to the City Commission, Library Board, and DDA on August 30th. The public introduction of the new brand is planned for September 24th at the State of the City Address, which, next item, is the State of the City Address will be held on September 24th at the Emerald Theater. One I didn't put in here, the charter amendment language, we got word the governor has approved it as well, so it's now official. Several upcoming DDA events. Last Friday was a major concert, August 13th. Congratulations, I've heard you had a huge crowd. Even had to close the street, I heard. Sorry, I was out of town for it. August 14th, we had the drive-in with the inflatable dinosaur costumes. We did not set a world record, but we got almost 200 people in dinosaur costumes, and I think that's still pretty darn impressive. August 20th, we have another Uptown Friday night concert at the Fountain Stage, the Joe Allen Band, which is classic rock. And I've got the same date on here twice. The following week is the Uptown Friday night concert for Johnny P., which is top 40 Motown oldies and more. COVID numbers in Michigan are definitely on an upswing, but they're still well below where they were just a few months ago. And we're still seeing our hot spots in rural counties. The link there to Macomb County Vaccine Central is where you can make an appointment to get a vaccination. Anybody age 12 or older is eligible to receive a COVID vaccination. Pancake breakfast. The firefighters will host their 29th pancake breakfast from 7:30 to 11 a.m. on September 11th, which is the same day as the Grand Prix Soapbox Derby. And the annual fire department open house will be October 24th from 1 to 4. And This will feature an equipment display, some extraction demonstrations, a junior firefighter combat challenge, face painting, hot dogs, cider, donuts, and popcorn. We then list items that are currently scheduled for future agendas. Thank you.
Anybody have questions or comments for Mr. Johnson? Okay, hearing none. We will go on to our second opportunity for the public to participate. We ask that you give us your full name, your full address, your residential address, and your abide by our 2-minute rule this time. Cool. We'll start with in-person and then we'll go to our Zoom.
Ruthie Stevenson, 69 Bain Street. I'd like to address the issue of the aesthetics coming along Gratiot with that property. This was not about me coming about how aesthetic it looks. It was a health and safety issue. 3 years ago, a couple girls ran in front of my car as I'm coming home at 8:30, 9 o'clock. You know what I'm saying? I almost hit them because somebody came out of those trees, scrub trees, just like it is now. Well, within 2 months ago, as I'm coming back home, this is daylight. There's a guy in there with no clothes on. His butt is all out. I tooted my horn. And by the time I went to Kibbe, came down, Meadle, and came around, he was gone. This is about health and safety. It's not about aesthetics. And something needs to be done before somebody gets raped, robbed, or pillaged. And to say that you're going to talk to this gentleman about his property and get with the city to get a contractor to cut, so he's using my tax dollars as a private owner. So are you going to extend that to everybody in the city that has a problem with trees and bushes? Or am I wrong in hearing what I heard? The point is that he needs to be held accountable for that property some way or another before somebody gets hurt. And you might think, well, who in the hell is she to get up here and talk about what somebody, hey, it hurt my heart to almost hit those girls, and then to see this idiot here with people being raped, robbed, and pillaged all around with things that are going on. People come through there with bikes and everything else, walking. Most times in the evening, they come from the stores and the restaurants. Something needs to be done. This is a health and safety issue, and it needs to be done ASAP.
Do you want to clarify?
No.
Okay. Anyone else?
Randy Buckman. I'll do my address again.
Sure.
13815 Southgate Drive. I am extraordinarily disappointed that you guys voted on this, which I'm not even sure if you need to vote on it. However, it's simply asking for 10 minutes of your time so that I can present a project that is over $30 million of investment, brings over 300 jobs. I've spent the last few months collecting your pain points and concerns. I think I have addressed the majority of those and come up with phenomenal ideas. And you simply will not give me 10 minutes so that we can have a conversation. I present, you can ask me the questions, so we're not talking about outdoor lights, which nobody grows with lights outdoors. But things like that is extraordinarily frustrating. 10 minutes, 300 jobs. This is who is bringing what private company is bringing a development like this to Mount Clemens? It's just so frustrating. I've never experienced anything like this in any other municipality. Thank you.
George Kale, 180 Grand Ave. I can feel the pain from Mr. Buckman, but again, my question at the first 3-minute interval was in regard to how pleasantries came into this equation at the last minute in the 9th hour. Unfortunately, the landowner at Gibraltar lost his original partner, who pulled out of the deal when he found out it was a $25 million tab from DTE to build out the grid. You still have 2 members here from the marijuana committee that was formed that knows what that application had and who that applicant was, JGVB Inc. The VB was for VB Chesaning up in Chesaning, Michigan. That guy pulled out of the deal. The landowner had to do something to figure out a way to still make this work. It just isn't going to work. A cannabis campus there is not practical. In sympathy for the landowner, I pitched him a few months ago on perhaps bringing back a racetrack and creating the M3 Concourse. I even went as far as registering the domain name, m3concourse.com. Similar to what they did in Pontiac, phenomenal in regard to, of course, car enthusiasts, and we got plenty of gearheads up here in Macomb County. And I'd like to emphasize with all the commissioners and the mayor, that is an opportunity zone that was designated by the federal government. And the opportunity is supposed to be for the community that can help the disadvantaged, not the opportunity for the multimillionaire developer that didn't do his homework and now is trying to have us do some backflips and perhaps give special considerations where none are due. Thank you, and look forward to seeing the ordinance that's going to be drafted. Appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Jean Dixon, and I live at 114 Meadow Street. And I first want to say, the City Commission to me is doing a great job, and I appreciate all of you. And second, I want to say, Friday night uptown at the Fountain was awesome. I had a good time. It was my first time. I liked it that I was able to do the social distance thing, and I was able to get a drink of wine, and I enjoyed being able to enjoy the concert. I also want to say, coming into Mount Clemens, you know, that's the River Acres community, and I'm the treasurer for River Acres, and I have our president here, and we just want to say we want to keep our area looking good. That's where you come into the city. I'm proud of the city. I'm a product of the city. I've been here 69 years. August 23rd, it'll be 69 years. But anyway, I do thank you, and I appreciate you.
Like your shirt.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. General McCants here, 550 Clinton River Drive. I was looking at the grass that was cut at Shady Side Park and Jason, my house there across the street. And I called Mr. Jeff Wood over there, and he responded in a great way. He came back and recut it. The way he cut it the first time he seen it, he came. You come and see it, came and seen it. When he cut the grass, it was turned brown, just hay there on top of the grass. If anybody know how that look, it don't look good. Now we just want to commend the whole board. Thank you. All right.
Do we have anyone else who would like to speak? Anyone on Zoom? Okay. All right. We will move on to commissioner comments. Commissioner Campbell?
Well, if there's anything that really gets people going is the way a city looks. I've talked about that ever since I've been here. With ownership comes responsibility, as Ms. Stevenson said. The owner of that property should be held accountable. I understand that the ordinance isn't written, that whatever, it needs to be written so that that person is held accountable for their property. Also, we talked about future possibility of street sweeping schedules. When we do it, we know it has to be realistic. We're not going to have cars off the street every week. There's all kinds of rumors out there that cars are going to be towed and the street's going to be closed every week. And when the ordinance ultimately comes to fruition, it will be, so it is to the advantage of all the citizens, so that in the end, it is going to make the city a better place. Thank you.
Commissioner Hammond.
I would like to invite everyone to our community art event. It's a community art session. It's a free event at Shady Side tomorrow at 6 o'clock, from 6 to 8 for all ages, and that's put on by Advance and Macomb.
For all ages, being children?
All ages, for adults, children,
Adults too.
adult coloring, painting.
I can handle that. I might be able to do that.
Commissioner Fournier.
I too, you very well said, Commissioner Campbell, because there is nothing that gets their, feelings and emotions running hotter than how things look and how we perceive them and how we want them to look, except unless it's marijuana. That might get people going a little bit more. But it is a controversial topic, and we know that there's a lot of differing opinions, and the importance is to respect all of those. And at the same time, though, we have to be fair about the whole thing. So I think it's a tough issue, and I'll be very glad when this ordinance is done. So, thank you.
Commissioner Goodenough.
I just wanted to remind everyone that on Saturday, August 21st, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., it will be at Shadyside, the third 7 and 7 tournament. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Voorhees.
I just have a shout out for Mr. and Mrs. George Murphy, who George was our city
Local treasurer?
Local Treasure Award
Yeah.
this year. They are celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary, and I drove down Gratiot Avenue where they live, and they have a beautiful sign on the fence. So again, congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. George Murphy. I'm just going to end it. I probably said too much today. So once a Clemite, always a Clemite.
Thanks. Commissioner Ransom.
I am sorry that I missed last Saturday. We had Sat Art Days, and Sheila Moore Beeman led and did some line dancing up by the Art Center. I love me some Sheila, and I'm sorry I missed her. And I hope those of you that did go had a great time.
Yes, we did.
It was at Kennedy Park, right?
Yep, with Anton Art Center.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
at Kennedy Park. So now,
Yeah, she's just awesome. I want to commend the DDA board for the creative direction that the city is taking. The musical instruments, I think, is way cool. I think that having some interactive things in the city will be, very important to attract people. I'm hoping that someday that the Children's Hands-On Museum or the Children's Discovery Center, or whatever we want to call it, opens up right there in that mall, and that we are a mecca or a draw for families again. Just like the dinosaur thing, just like the, Pops, Sweets and Treats, events, and his candy store, how they draw people. I hope that, we can improve on that. And so I appreciate the creative direction that the DDA board is taking. The Mount Clemens Optimist Club, we were able to fill both of our cars for the Soapbox Derby. And actually, girls rule. We are having young little girls, both I think are 9, who are going to be driving our soapbox cars this year. So boys, look out. The girls are coming. I would like to remind you that the Optimist Club is doing Trunk or Treat on the same day that Spooktacular is downtown. We are looking for trunks. Anybody that wants to sponsor a trunk, please get a hold of me, and we'll get you all the paperwork and explain the whole deal to you. We're trying to add some new things to it this year, and we think because we haven't had Trunk or Treat for a little while, we are going to draw a lot of children. And so if you have any, neighbors can get together, and sponsor a trunk. River Acres could get together and sponsor a trunk. So if you have a community group that you're interested, that you deal with, whether it's the Rotary or the Goodfellows or the Lions Club, or the AMVETS up here, we really need some people to sponsor trunks for us. So you can get a hold of me, my email's out there, my phone number's out there. If not, you can get a hold of me through the city. Mr. Johnson's office will, relay your message. And I wanted to remind people that next Friday, August 27th, is our first home football game for the Battling Bathers. There'll be more information, out on the website. But it would be just so cool if we could get a good crowd of residents for their first game after all of the trauma, after all of the, the loss, after all of the COVID crap, that if we could get a good crowd out there to cheer our boys on. So, August 27th. Thank you.
Once a bather, always a bather. Right? Got a couple of them out there, right? All right.
Okay, so, well, first, happy birthday, Jean Dixon. I had the pleasure of having the last 2 months of in-person coffee talks, which has been really exciting. And we had one this month last Tuesday. We had a special guest speaker, Michelle Weiss, who let us know all of the happenings of the DDA and some of the exciting real estate transactions that are happening downtown. So if you missed this month's coffee talk, we will have next month, September 14th at 9:30 at John's Family Grill. So come out and join us and talk about current events happening in Mount Clemens and, all the answer your questions and all that good stuff. So, and I also wanted to thank, now I'm losing my, I wanted to thank TCB Mentoring for beginning the kickball league at Shadyside Park. The Youth Kickball League has been a fun, I think it's a great event because it kind of takes out, for those of us who are band geeks and not athletic, we can still play kickball. So it takes away that, I guess, that barrier of athleticism, and I appreciate that. And I look forward to partaking in that this month. And I would encourage everyone to take a look at your property and make sure that you are a good steward of our community, and that you there's always things that we can do to improve our property, and they don't necessarily have to cost money. So making sure that you maybe just take a good circle around your property. Have you really, sometimes I feel like I pull in the driveway, I run into the house, and I run back to the car. And, have you really taken a good walk around your house and looked to see? We have a blight checklist that's listed on the community development homepage of the city, just to remind everyone what blight really is around your house. So maybe even take a minute to look at that. So we all have to do our part, and it takes sacrifice from everyone, from parking situation, about moving your cars when the street sweeper's coming, to picking up the weeds in your own backyard. So with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those who oppose? Have a great night, everyone.